Hello. Yesterday's stream was fun. Maybe today's will be too. Hold on 1 second while I get some water. God damn it. Friggin' cat. I swear, cats. God damn it. I swear, cats are the knocking over as fucking animals. Whoa, whoa. Can't seem to stay on my feet. Of course, it might just be because this trailer is so badly leveled. Okay. There we go. Now I'm nice and cozy. Now I'm nice and cozy, and yeah. Hell yeah. There we go. Hi. Hello. Welcome. Hello and welcome to the show. Meow. I had a goal to get to 500 subs by the end of the year. It's starting to look like that goal's not going to happen, but I mean, growth has still been steady, but I feel like I need to do a big video to get that goal done, and I think I will. I've been thinking about an idea for a video, an idea for a script that I can turn into a video, and I'm thinking I've landed on what it's going to be. My working title is Kiosks and the Corporatization of Human Connections. Working title. Jesus Christ. I'm dying. Oh my God. Anyway. What the Sigma? What'd you just see yourself in the mirror or something? Bro, I don't even know what this motherfucking Sigma shit means. You kids keep saying that shit. I have yet to hear a definition. So whatever. Man, that's the sad thing about the insult game, man. You kind of got to figure out what somebody's offended by and what their sensibilities are before you can really make one land, Because otherwise you just meet a motherfucker like me that just living under a rock doesn't know. You're a bot, aren't you? This is a bot comment that I'm looking at. Nicole Locke is not a real person. That's a fucking robot. That is a fucking engagement bot, probably being ran by Alphabet itself to increase the perceived popularity of its platforms. It's a shame. It's a shame. I wonder how much of this brain rot shit that people are always talking about really is just commercialized bot activity being used to drive marketing and ad revenue. No. I mean, there are bots that are more than complicated enough at this point to listen to the words that you're saying, turn them into text, and then spit some text back out. So you saying no, little boy, it's little girl, thank you. And I ain't little neither. I ain't little. Trust me on that one. And then no, don't fall. God damn it. Everything's falling apart. I'm gonna have to put my blanket back on. Anyway, if I stand right up against this door, that's where I come to. So yeah, not very little at all. Yeah. Yeah. It's okay. I just wish you had something interesting to say, that's all. I just want us to have a fascinating conversation, but, you know, you can't help what the chat does. The chat wants what the chat wants. And right now, the chat wants to be retarded. Oh, Oklahoma, where the wind goes blowing down the plains. Yes, you. You're the only motherfucker in chat right now. Everybody else too scared to talk. Oh, well. I can sit here and entertain myself, I guess. Bring out the guitar, maybe. Play some tunes. Hell. Come on, y'all. 6 people in here. There could be 66 people in here if y'all would start fucking talking. If y'all would start fucking spitting out some words onto this here YouTube chat. Come on. I need you. Now more than ever. Anything, any topic. I don't care. Just bring it to me. Come on. Yo, LV, what's up? Finally, a grain of intelligence among all the sand. What's up, LV? Here, Nicole, you're retarded. You don't count because you would not posted more than 2 words in a single comment. So fuck off and die with that. Are you gay? I'm a whole lot more than gay, my friend. Queer as you won't. You said any topic? I did. What did I did I say? What I said I'm hell more a lot more than gay. And yeah, I said any topic. Here is not a topic. No, I'm I'm trans and I'm bisexual / pansexual. So I'm pretty fucking queer, yeah. Have you seen TJ's latest video on chaos magic? Never thought I'd see TJ get spiritual. I haven't watched it just yet, but me and TJ have had a lot of conversations recently about the topic of spirituality and chaos magic. So I'm not shocked at all. Honestly, what shocked me was that I thought they were going to take a little bit longer, honestly, to kind of talk more openly about their newfound sort of spiritual beliefs, philosophical beliefs. I think chaos magic is both a philosophy and a spirituality, I think. But I'm just kind of surprised that they're talking about it, already. I'm glad, don't get me wrong. That might sound like I'm complaining. I'm totally not. I'm actually really glad they're talking about it, and I'm interested to watch the video because I'm sure it'll be a unique take to what I've already discussed with them already. So I haven't watched it yet, but I'm looking forward to it for sure. You're not retarded? Okay, then say something intelligent. Prove me wrong, Nicole. Ask me something that makes me think. Then I will take it back. Happily, even. Let me see here. Yeah, you say you're not retarded, but the comment that I just unhid to look at and see what it was is literally you spamming. So I don't have very high hopes for this fucking comment that I'm expecting right now. Right, meow. Not exactly looking forward to its quality. I am a creature. I am a creature of high spirits. I am a creature of spirit. I am a creature of phases. I am a creature of the night. I am a creature of shadow. I am a creature of light. I am a creature of the trees and a creature of the stones. I am a creature that defies the laws of gender and expression. I am indeed a creature. You have a Megamind forehead? It's even worse if I pull up my bangs. Just kidding. I don't know. I don't think it's that bad, but if you do, okay. What's that supposed to inform in my life? You're not in a edit. Huh? Fucking what? To be honest, I don't even know if spiritual is the right word for it. LOL, the video just kind of explored some of the famous mysteries of life. I'm definitely excited to watch it, especially given that sort of commentary about it. I think it'll be really interesting to watch. But yeah, I don't know if spirituality is exactly the right word for it, because I think a practitioner of chaos magic is... I think someone like that might see spirituality in and of itself as kind of like a meta tool to be used rather than adopted, so to speak. Man, there is nothing but fucking dumbass Zoomers in here tonight, isn't it? Literally, except for LV. Are you Patrick living under a rock? Please go watch a television show other than SpongeBob. Listen, I grew up watching it too. But around the time I turned 14, I started finding other shows. For me, what got me out of it was fucking Futurama. For you, it might be something else. Check out Disenchanted. Check out BoJack Horseman. Go check out some adult cartoons, okay? It'll do you good. Get a better reference. I'm 26 years old. I don't want to be reading about SpongeBob in my chat, right? You're not 14? Yeah, I believe that. I believe that. You are probably fucking 12. Either you're a child watching fucking SpongeBob and in a fucking, 18 plus stream trying to have a conversation with an adult you're not nearly equipped to have a conversation with, rather. Or you're someone in their fucking 20s that's still watching goddamn SpongeBob. I don't feel like either of those are particularly noble positions to be in, my friend. Hey, you can say a lot about me, but I don't watch SpongeBob. I don't watch SpongeBob no more, I read books other than Harry Potter, About right? Well, then goodbye, because children are unwelcome on this channel. Because the fucking honest truth of it is, kids think they're fucking... Listen, this is not to be hateful, right? I don't hate kids. I genuinely don't. But I'm also not retarded, and I don't think that kids are like automatically amazing people. And I hate to give Ben Shapiro anything, but I heard him say once, children are innocent. That doesn't mean they're good. Like especially if your kid actually does have some natural talents, it becomes very natural for you to, nurture those with more than just resources, but to nurture them with words of affirmation, which I do think is right. But I think you have to be careful about how you go about that situation, because you can end up with a kid who thinks they're fucking... But honestly, I don't even think there's a way you can prevent this. I think this is just kids. Kids end up thinking that they're fucking super fucking smart, and they're just not, I think a lot of it comes down to their parents, like constant words of affirmation and shit. And they just get into this mindset where they're like, I'm the smartest one in the room. When really, they're like one of the fucking dumbest people that's speaking in any given point. And it's like, because they're too young to have gotten a lot of knowledge in their head. Now, there's exceptions to that. There's people who raise their kids with like an active eye towards teaching them to love learning, right? There are other outcomes that can be achieved, but I think in general, the way people parent these days and the way, I don't know, the way the media depicts parents and children, et cetera, I think it has made, all of this has made it to where that, like, even if it just, like, obviously there's the obvious point about, like, we talk about adult shit on here, and I don't want people belly aching about, talking to fucking kids about adult shit. So I just say, don't fucking be on this channel if you're a kid, right? But, there's also just the fact that they're not good fucking conversational partners. And I have learned that from not only having been a kid just 10 short years ago, but also, well, I guess I wasn't a kid 10 years ago, but, I was a teenager, and, 12 or 13 years ago, I would have been a kid, and I know that I thought I was fucking brilliant back then. And I was a smart kid, but I wasn't fucking that. And I feel like every kid these days is that. At least if the internet and like YouTube chats specifically are anything to go off of, the amount of people I have an argument with that at some point reveal they're a fucking literal like baby basically is like, it's so frustrating, because once again, they think they're fucking so fucking smart. They think they're the smartest ones in the room, when very often they are the least intelligent people talking in an exchange. And it's frustrating. The rise of the iPad kids, exactly. Kids that literally cannot form sentences that are legible and coherent to adults, right? Kids that are so socially maladapted that they don't even have autism, but they can't look people in the eye. They can't shake a person's hand. Dude, can I tell y'all something that I witness almost every day where I work and that is so weird to me? It's not every kid, but I cannot tell you how many. It's probably like a good 65-70% of kids aged like 5. Well, no, I would say it's more like 7 to like 17. I would say 65% of kids that come into the store that are that age range that are ordering with their parents, they have such weird mannerisms that my parents would have never fucking let me, they never would have let me have. Or, like there's some of it that I understand. Like sometimes the kids will tell their parents what they want, right? And then they'll like go off and find the table. That doesn't come off as like socially anxious or awkward to me. But what will happen so often is like they'll like almost whisper it to their parent and kind of like they'll be like eyeing me awkwardly like it's, like a weird experience. And I would think, okay, maybe it's just because I'm trans, but it happens to, I'll observe other people on front and it happens with other people. So it's literally just kids that have not been socialized properly that don't know how to speak on their own because their parents will be, it's almost like their parents have realized they've raised a fucking socially inept retard that can't talk to people properly. And they'll be like, they'll prompt the kid to give their order and they'll start. And then they'll be like, hey, speak up. They can't hear you. Because I'll be like, I'm sorry, what'd you say? And then they're like, come on, speak up. They can't hear you. And then it's like they clear their throat and it's like they get even nervous. They shudder and they're like, can I get a number 5, please? No tomatoes. And it's like, bro, motherfucker, just say, number 5, no tomatoes, please. It's like, how fucking hard is that? You a retard. Yeah, nothing proves that I'm a retard like being completely fucking grammatically incorrect in your insult. Good job, buddy. You did great. Some of that could be genuine introversion, though being raised by iPads didn't help. Yeah, though, that's what I get that, right? I'm sure some of it is. Here's what's weird to me, right? The introverted kids, you used to be able to tell who was going to be an introverted kid just when you looked at them. What's weird to me, and thank you for pointing this out, LV Shades, because I hadn't really landed on it yet. What's weird to me is that it's kids that were never that type of kid when I was a kid, right? When I was a kid, if you were like more of an introvert, it was very rare for a person like that to end up on any of the sports teams or anything like that. And if they did, they usually became a louder person, a more boisterous type of person, right? And at least when I was a kid, the introverts tended to be kind of like plain dressing, sort of, or even kind of goth or edgy dressing kind of outcast types, That's what I think about when I think of an introverted person. Not necessarily, but when I guess I don't think that when I say introverted or when I think introverted, but I do when I see somebody that looks like that, I do assume that they're probably going to be introverted. And I feel like I feel like nowadays it's like all over the place. It'll be like, sometimes it'll be like super attractive fucking, like, and honestly, I keep saying kids, but it's really not kids. It's fucking, I think it's like Zoomers and millennials, maybe like late millennials. I think it's all the fucking, kids, quote unquote, that were raised on iPads, computers, and cell phones, either from day one or from a very early age. Because I will see people just a few years younger than me. Like the example I was about to use is like, I'll see like super attractive, like, you know, clearly fucking like in their early 20s chicks that have like, like they've got their keys on their purse and they've got like a really nice purse and they're dressed really well. They look like confidence, but they've got to like tell their actually confident friend who's just kind of dressed in plain clothes and she's like the fat one, and they have to tell her, and then she fucking relays their orders, and then I sometimes have to ask them for clarification. They clear the throat. They're like, and it's just like, this doesn't make any sense to me. And to me, it feels like people have become less capable. I don't know. I feel like it's a lot of things. Number one, I feel like it's the result of, two generations now being raised on heavily interactive technology that replaces socializing in person with socializing with a facsimile of socializing. I also think that conditions in the society, I think, have started to drive people apart and sort of drive a wedge between people, and have, I think, made human relationships more tense. Um, because improperly managed, that's what that sort of impulse always does. Um, improperly managed, the results of income inequality and the endless rage of capitalism are tension between the people. And capitalism breeds tension between the people actively. And if you're not actively fighting against it in a united way, then it breeds and it takes hold. And I think those two things in tandem have kind of started to ruin socializing. And nothing to me proves this more than, like, I spent a lot of time this evening watching our public freakout on Reddit. And what I noticed is just how many posts there are and how many of them are from America, right? Which is good because that's my frame of reference, right? How many more of them there are now versus 10 years ago. Now, I know some of that's just a proliferation of technology, but I really do feel like things are tea kettling. And it's the nature of the freakouts I keep seeing. I would say that a good 3 out of 5 of every freakout I watched ended up involving racism or bigotry in some way. So I think shit's just fucking tea kettling, and I don't think the left is uniting in a like united way to suppress this, to fight it, to oppose it. And so I think it's just kind of sweeping over the country. I think people are kind of unraveling. I think people are fraying at the edges. I can't believe I got fucked on this vape, bro. I got a dud unit. It's just something's wrong with the fucking coil or something. Almost feels like there's something fucked up in there, bro. There was a similar trend during and after COVID. People were angrier and more on edge. But what's happened this time? See, I don't know. You can call me crazy, but I think that people like me and Paul Ziga that have been calling for people to start rising up in a mass movement in a united way, I think, well, let me put it this way. I can feel it coming in the air of the night. Oh Lord. And I've been waiting for this moment for all my life. Oh Lord. I can feel it coming. People are getting sick of this shit. People are getting fucking sick to death of this shit. People are up to their fucking eyeballs in work, in bills, and family responsibilities, concerns about the fucking planet, and they've had it up to their fucking earlobes with the intransigence of the United States government, their local politicians, their bosses, their corporate masters. People are more opposed to these things now than I think they've ever been. Maybe, possibly accepting the Great Depression. And I personally feel like that means we are coming to what may be the end of an era and the beginning of a new one. Excuse me. Oh, God. Sorry, excuse me. Because it's like, if we look at the reasons why people are angry, why do I think people are angry? Well, Trump won by pretty significant margins, so I don't think it's the results of the presidential election. People were angry before the election, so I don't think it's that. This trend of anger has been coming on for a while. You say it was happened before and after COVID. I think what happened was that, or during and after COVID, I think it started during COVID. I think people went inside and actually had time to think. Some of them, for the first time in their lives, people had time to think. And exposure to more media than they'd ever been able to expose themselves to. They had more time for hobbies than they'd ever had. And millions of people in this country realized that capitalism is a fucking scam. Millions. And I think the anger that started building during COVID Well, if you go back and look at it, it was coming from so many different angles. It was coming from anger towards police brutality and the mistreatment of marginalized communities by police forces. It was coming from economic inequality and economic instability in the wake of shortcomings and shortages all throughout the market, right? It was anger in response. It was anger in response to a badly handled pandemic. There was a lot of anger from a lot of different paths, and I think you can't underestimate how many people learned about communism or socialism seriously for the first time in their lives during 2020. I think that there's a reason why there have been two major upticks in leftist participation in politics in the last 20 years. Well, last 10 years, I guess, being 2016 and 2020. I think 2020 gave people enough time to finally expose themselves to more media than they'd ever been able to expose themselves to, have a bunch of conversations about shit online, and people, for the first time in their lives, many of them, had the opportunity to come out about their politics and talk about it openly and live the way they wanted to live, take up some hobbies they'd never gotten to take up. Some of them, their lives and careers changed, which led them into a different direction. The campaign of Bernie Sanders and the intransigence of the United States government during the pandemic and the ability that people had during the wake of the lockdowns to read, research, and watch, I think has led to us having a huge base of really radical support in this country. A huge base of radical support. And as far as that anger, I think that anger generated during COVID for the reasons I was talking about, and I think afterwards it continued for a while. And if it seemed like it went away for a while, it didn't. What happened? What happened was the libs convincing us for a little while that everything was okay. That's, in my opinion, what happened. Because there was a time, right? I would say about 6 months into the Ukraine conflict, all the way up into October 7th, 2023, I would say during that time, tensions seemed a little bit lower. And I think a lot of that was because people actually felt kind of good about what Biden was doing for Ukraine. It was kind of hard for the right wing to spin, like the right wing is the pro-war party, so it's hard for them to, or they're the ones who are openly about, American interventionism and, foreign countries. So it was very hard for them to spin that issue against Biden, right? And, the CHIPS Act, the infrastructure deal, there were some pretty reasonably based things that Biden did that I think led to people feeling better for a time. But the people who were most angry, they never stopped screaming. They never stopped yelling about how angry they were. Just look at, honestly, people might say this is like fucking dick sucky of me or whatever. But if you want a really good fucking idea of what genuine fucking progressives who are angry and who were angry and were made angrier during COVID, if you want a really good metric about like how they feel and what they were going through, I think you can look at Paul. And Paul was still fucking angry as shit throughout all of that and still pointing out all the fucking intransigence throughout that time. You know what I mean? And I think he is a very good fucking representative of like the average fucking politically engaged leftist in this country that isn't just bought and sold into the fucking DNC machine, because there are a lot of people who right now are kind of bought and sold into that DNC machine. But as far as like the actual radical types, they stayed angry the whole fucking time, and I think the rest of the culture did too. It just, went on the back burner. It was no longer forwarded. It was no longer in the foreground. So instead of it being a constant issue, instead of it affecting everybody's behavior for a while, everybody, well, at least enough people in enough positions of economic and political power and rhetorical power were, speaking so positively about everything going on, and speaking so happily about all these jobs getting brought back to America and all this economic growth and all this shit, right? But you'll remember, groceries have been steadily going up throughout the Biden presidency. I'm unmuting this now.
That's okay. Hi guys.
Sorry.
I'll be buying in a minute.
My girlfriend came in. Smack.
Here. There. Now you'll have 2 high kitties. What?
Will you face the wall for a second?
Why?
All right, now just stand up like that.
Oh, fuck you! Wow! You're such an asshole. See what
I'm a good person.
Thanks. Thanks. Screw you. Now my ass is on the internet.
In fucking jeans. Okay, bye. Oh,
Squish.
squish. So, sorry about that interruption. Actually, I'm not, because I love them. But, I feel like the uprising will only happen once the comfort of the average American is threatened. Hold on one second. Alright, anyway, okay. I feel like the uprising will only happen once the comfort of the average American is threatened. Food shortages, supply chain collapse, basic necessities becoming massively expensive, etc. Well, I tend to agree, but you know, like what happened with COVID, that we know for a fact that you're right, LV, because what happened with COVID illustrated that better than anything. And I keep hearing weird noises. I'm gonna see what's going on. Well, anyway. Okay. So, in my opinion, we saw the proof of that kind of play out during COVID and its response. It did generate massive amounts of anger and discontent with the government and the system, and a lot of people, when searching for answers why all this was, got exposed to a lot of leftist content. And I think that is also proof of my theory that times like this are perfect for us. I genuinely don't think we necessarily need all the grocery stores to run out of food for us to make these arguments. I just think honestly, I think conditions like this are sufficient to make our arguments more appealing than those of the opposition. But we have to be presenting them the right way, and we have to be presenting them as a united front. Because as long as we're just presenting them in a haphazard kind of shattered, scattershot kind of way, I don't think that's going to cut it. What's up? I don't remember you, but I assume you're a cool person. Give me one second. Alrighty, finally. Now I can talk. Alrighty, so where were we? Oh yeah, people are angrier, people are frustrated, and why are they frustrated? That's where we were. Minion. In my opinion, they are frustrated because they don't have answers to complicated questions. And they are frustrated because they don't know how to act on the answers those of them that do have, right? How are you doing? I'm okay. Could be better, I guess, but it could be worse. I don't know. I never know how to answer when someone asks me that. But what's up? Anyway. So if I think of why people are angry right now, why people are going off on each other more, I think it's because the temperature on the pressure cooker just keeps rising. And what I mean by that is housing prices have continued to rise and get higher and higher throughout the Biden presidency, which is one of those things that rich people will tell you that's great, that's amazing, that's wonderful, because it represents more dollar signs in their pocket. It represents more opportunity for them to make a big sum of money anytime they need to. So they look at it as a great thing. But people who actually need to live in houses look at that as a horrible thing, because it means rent goes up. It's harder to buy a house. Those two things make it directly equivalent to this pressure cooker idea that I'm talking about. What's another example of the pressure cooker? Grocery prices. Grocery prices have been a big deal throughout most of this, last 4, 5, 6 years, but especially the last 3 years, I'd say, people have been talking about how, man, it seems like groceries have gotten so much higher. And think about that, dude. People first started really complaining this most recent, round of complaints about people's high grocery bills started in 2020, and then was going on, around till like 2022 was like the peak of the memes. And it's just doubled since then. It's just gotten worse since then. So it's gotten harder for you to buy a home. It's gotten harder for you to rent a home. It's gotten harder for you to buy food. And there's no fucking relief provided to the people whom this affects either. It's not like wages are going up commensurate with these increases. And so I think even people that are pretty well off, I think they're starting to feel the squeeze themselves. They're starting to realize how many fucking subscription services they got to be a member of to live the way they want to live. They're starting to realize how expensive their mortgage is and their car payment is. They're starting to realize how much more expensive it is than it used to be. And I think a lot of people get resentful because, I grew up on very, very, very little. And I grew up to appreciate non-monetary things, I mean, I think that's one of the reasons why it's hard for me to envision like a fancy ass set to build, because I'm just a person of simple tastes. I was just raised that way. I find a lot of pleasure and comfort in simple, homemade and do-it-yourself type of things. Like that's me, right? But most people are not raised that way, and in order to have the sort of technology and comfort and standard of living that most people are accustomed to, right? It requires a higher bill now than ever before. And the sad fact of it is that there are people who are now just breaking even, living, a life with a few basic luxuries and not a whole lot of like frivolous spending, that 20 years ago on that same income could have afforded to do quite a bit of frivolous spending. And they look at that loss and they look at people who are making $100,000 more than they are, or $500,000 more than they are, and they see the amount of shit that they're able to do. And then they look at the people who run the corporations that they work for, and they see how much money that they're able to fucking pull in. And I think it's got people fucking pissed. I think it's got all of us, all of these things are just combining to make all of us pissed. We can't afford to buy a house. Even those of us who can't afford to buy crazy shit to put in it half the time. Even those of us who can't afford to go on fucking vacations. Even those of us who can't. Why do I always do that with this fucking bowl? It's making me not want to smoke this thing anymore because I'm always fucking dropping it. It's just slippery, dude. It's slippery and my fucking skin is dry. And I sound like fucking Gollum. Starting to feel like I'm just going to be sick for the rest of my life, bro. I swear I've been fucking sick for 2 months. Literally, I feel like I've been fucking sick for 2 months. I feel like sometimes like it gets better for like a week and then I'm fucking sick again. I'm just sick of it. I need to figure out what the fuck I have and get it treated before the baby comes. Anyway, I think conditions are right. I just think we need to start presenting the argument in the right way. And I think we all need to adopt more or less the same types of arguments, Like, I don't know, when I brought my 5 propositions that I think we need to protest for to Paul, I think, to me, it seemed like he was acting like I said we should do that within the framework of the Democratic Party, which is strange to me because I've been railing against the Democrats for like 3 years now. I don't know. Maybe he misunderstood what I said, or maybe I misunderstood his response. But I was saying we need to protest for those things. And the reason why I think it needs to be those 5 things is because I think we need 5 policy positions that people can get educated on, provide the arguments for, and unite around that are very, very, very hard to argue against. And those 5 are it. Those are it. Some of them are harder to argue for than others because they require more technical knowledge to be good at arguing, but all of them are easy to argue reality leans left kind of positions. Damn, I'm so pissed that I dropped this thing earlier. I'm a Butterfinger, though. I'm a total Butterfingers. Whoa, that was weird. Anyway, it's like universal healthcare. That one's just like the vast majority of people already. I respect your haircut choice. Well, thank you. Universal healthcare. People already agree with that one. People largely fucking. It's like a given here in America. You know, super easy to argue for. It's something that people could look into easily and get educated about easily and learn how to argue for, right? Infrastructure renewal. This one, I think, might be the easiest one to argue for in America, and I think probably the one that appeals most broadly to both sides. You do need some art on your walls, though? I really do. I do. I really do. I really do. I do need some art up on the walls. I should get some of the art that I have hanging up in the house and put it on the walls. Is it an ice house? No. Anyway, infrastructure renewal is one of the easiest goals to argue for, in my opinion. It's one that appeals to both sides, right? All you have to do to tell that America is a pretty badly designed place that needs a lot of sidewalks and needs a lot of reinvestment into infrastructure, all you need to do to prove that is to go look around at our cities, and especially rural ones, especially southern ones, just go look at rural America and go look at southern America, go look at fucking Midwestern America, hell, even Western America. There's a bunch of places in America that don't have proper sidewalks, that don't have proper road demarcation, that don't have proper roads, frankly. And I think all of that shit needs to be brought to snuff. I think it all needs to be brought up, I think we need to make America a more functional place. And infrastructure is one of those things, like infrastructure renewal is one of those things that, in my opinion, kind of sells itself because there's just so many angles on it. Number one, it's a lot of jobs for something that everybody needs and that we have to have, right? So, number two, the better your infrastructure is, the less wear and tear on the vehicles and people that use it, right? The more functional your infrastructure is, the less time it takes for vehicles to get from one place to the other, the less gas is used, the less wear on the tires, the less tires are used, et cetera, et cetera. It's a thing with cascading benefits, right? And, like, rebuilding it now gives us not, like starting a massive rebuilding project, right? Gives us the chance to modernize it in a way that makes it easier to maintain, right? As has been done, most of the times things have been built in more recent history. Like, I live where there are no signs, no sidewalks, and right now there's 10 feet of snow. I have a driveway that's 2 miles long and only have 5 humans, 6 miles. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I don't live in anything like that type of isolation, nor do I think I could. Well, maybe. I think I could, but only on a limited basis. I think I could live somewhere like that for 6 months or a year maybe, but I think at some point I would need to go back to other people and, have a party at the house or something. I don't know. I couldn't do it. I do live in a rural area. Mississippi. Mississippi. Much different. I'm in the UP of Michigan. Yeah, the UP is pretty fucking wildly different from Mississippi, yeah. The great frozen north, eh? That's pretty cool, though. That's pretty neat. But, so infrastructure renewals, I think, a thing we could sell people on very easily. There's also high-speed rail, which Paul said I should just merge that in with the infrastructure thing. I kind of disagree with that because I think they kind of need to be on their own and be two separate things. But hey, what do I know? I really wish my vape was fucking working right, man. It burns my ass so much. Because the shop I bought it from has a test in store policy. And when I hit it in the store, it worked fucking fine. But at some point, it just stopped working. Heat it with a hairdryer? Why? What will that do? You set it in front of the heater for a minute, I guess. If it's sticking, maybe that's the problem. We'll try it. Hey, I'll try it. Fuck it. Set it in front of the heater for a minute. If this works, I'm going to be pleasantly shocked. I use flour, but I had those pens. Oh, it's not a pen. It's a nicotine vape. Yeah, I smoke flour too. Well, normally. Now I'm going to be smoking tray residue. I clean out my bowls every so often. In between, sessions, you leave a little bit in the bowl. I clean mine out and reuse it. I can swear I just saw a little nug in there, but maybe not. Maybe not. I don't know how so many fucking stems get off in this shit, though. That shit don't make no sense. Oy vey. Hello Kitty shot glass. I had no idea what you're talking about. By the way, I guess YouTube changed my name to my real name. Oh, what the fuck? Weird. Nice. What's up, Black Lark? Well, it's not resin. It's just, you know, flour mostly, but like from a bowl that wasn't quite smoked all the way. For some reason, my nose is super itchy. I'm sorry, y'all. But I'm going to smoke this shit out of my bong. But yeah, no, I mean, I could probably get more flour if I really wanted to. Well, maybe not right now, but. Am I blind? That little thing on the shot glass looks like Hello Kitty. This is actually an old Moon Rocks container. I guess it does kind of look like Hello Kitty. You can call me by my real name or Black Lark. I don't mind either. Okie dokie. I don't know which one I'll go with. I don't know yet. But noted. Noted. Man, I hope that fucking YouTube doesn't do that for me. I don't know why I'm burping so much, and I also don't know why it bothers me, but it does. Funny enough, I don't think it was YouTube. I think it was my phone that asked me to put my name in for my Google account. That changed it here. I stumbled in here when you were talking about the need for vast, overarching infrastructure and social changes in this country. Man, what would it take to push people in to rapid change? Give me 1 second and I will respond to that. YouTube's account system is weird. I have a separate account that uses my real name, same email as this one, but I never created it. It just appeared. Yeah, I've got the same thing and it's really weird. I don't get it either. As far as what would it take people to push people to rapid, what would it take to push people into rapid change? I think there's a number of things. I think there's the accelerationist answer, which is, well, shit gets bad enough. Eventually, people just rise up because they just flat out can't take it anymore. Problem is, sometimes you get a fascist government after that. Sometimes you get a great government after that. Usually, you get a fascist strongman. It's just kind of the way it goes. So my answer is How do we get people to go in for massive change? I think the people are already there, my friend. I think the real question is, how do we get them to act on that desire? And how do you get them to act on that desire? I think the answer is codifying a framework by which it could be done, and then setting a date on which to do it, and committing to it. Committing to it utterly. But I don't know if that would work, you know? That's just one theory. You gotta be fucking kidding me, bro. Well, I got a dud vape and I have no money to buy another one, so. I mean, I will tomorrow, but it's just fucking, god damn it, man. I threw away my other one. Motherfucker, man. God, man, I'm so fucking pissed. You buy something, you want it to work, bro. How fucking hard is it to ask someone to not sell you a piece of shit? I know someone can't know, but it's like, I also know that if I try to get it fucking swapped out, yeah, I can't get it to do anything at all. So, I guess I'm gonna fucking try and dig my other one out of the garbage and just keep fucking hitting it till it literally fucking just goes dry, because I don't know what else to do. Because I'm gonna go fucking insane just not having any, so. Oh well. Damn it. Guess I'm gonna take you guys with me for this nasty shit, because whatever. It's already pathetic enough that I dropped the whole conversation because I'm fucking sitting there having a nick fit because I literally cannot make that fucking goddamn fucking thing work no matter what I fucking try. So fuck it. It's gotta be in here somewhere. There it is. It's disgusting, but it'll have to do. Okay. Yeah. Like I said, it's disgusting, but it'll have to do. I got some shit I'm gonna clean it with, don't worry. I've got some disinfectant wipes and shit that I'm gonna clean it with. Get all the fucking nasty off of it first. Fucking Taco Bell sauce and shit. God damn it, man. Ooh, I'm so mad. Well, let my white trash credentials never be questioned. I think that's as good as I can get that part. Okay. Now, these wet wipes have disinfectant on them and in them, so I will use them to finish the cleaning process. See? Just so y'all know I ain't a complete nasty piece of shit. Am I nasty enough to dig up my vape out of the garbage? Yes. Am I nasty enough not to clean it beforehand? No. I just hope sitting outside hasn't ruined this one. Don't go all Shawnees on us and use that vape without really cleaning it. Oh my god, yeah, that would be awful. You guys saw me clean it, right? Okay. See? All over. Okay? All the little pieces. Okay? There we go. No judgment for me. Nick Fitzer for real. I spent at least $100 buying extra vapes because so many of mine have been lost or broken, bro. Oh my god, bro. I don't even want to talk about it. You know what? I found the old one. I cleaned it off. My hands only smell a little like garbage, so. Now for the moment of truth. Certainly a more pleasant hit than the other one. That'll make it good and clean. I can't say I haven't taken things I wanted out of the trash can before. Exactly. Everybody's done it. I showed myself doing it, but everybody's done it. Hell, I'm just honest about it. Fuck. It's the only difference between me and somebody else, you know? It was at the top of the trash pile, too. That's fair game, exactly. Because it'd been in the car, and I knew I had just cleaned it out earlier, so I was like, fuck it. Whatever, dude. I'll just go get that one. In the morning, I'm going to go to the fucking tobacco store, and I'll see if the same lady's working, because if she is, she'll probably switch it out for me, but if it's one of the other dudes, like if it's one of the dudes, they probably won't. Anyway, what were we talking about? So how would we get people to act? I think we need to codify the framework. I think we need to codify the goals. The reason I was talking about infrastructure is because I have these 5 ideas for what we need to do to rescue America. 5 things we need to protest for and not leave the public spaces we're camping out on until we get these demands. Number 1, universal health care. Number 2, infrastructure renewal across the board with an eye towards public transit. Number 3, high-speed rail. Number 4, free college, university, and vocational training. And 5, a complete transition away from fossil fuels. Those 5, just those 5, I think we need to go after those 5 issues as strongly and as forcefully as we can, because I think a lot of the reason why we haven't coalesced into a big movement yet is because all of us are busy fighting these disparate fights, right? And while all of that's going on, we're all getting shafted. And I think those of us that make enough money, which I'm not one of these people, by the way, but I think there are people who are still technically working class who make enough money to be insulated from kind of the day-to-day lived realities of most people in the working class, right? People who aren't, they're not in the upper 10% or whatever, but they're wealthier than, say, the, average run-of-the-mill schmuck in America. And I think as a result, for those people, they don't feel the economic squeezing is hard. Now, I think many of those people still have empathy for those who do and still, make arguments in their favor and everything. But I think that's what we need to focus our energy on. I think it's economic issues and, a couple of environmental issues. Like, to me, infrastructure renewal with an eye towards mass transit and high-speed rail are both environmental issues and economic issues. But to a lot of people, they're just economic issues. They're just, they're just societal issues broadly. But I think if we united around those 5 issues, they're easy to research, they're easy to argue for, they're difficult to argue against, and they appeal broadly to every American already. There's already a huge base of support for every single one of those things. I think that is the angle that we need to start leading with, and I think we need to start talking about this, and I think we need to start gathering together in whatever local group we can and campaigning for this in whatever way we can. Protests, leaflets, pamphlets, stickering. I think this needs to be a campaign that culminates in all of us sitting down in the public squares and sitting around until our needs are met, right? With those 5 demands in tow. Yeah, I like those ideas, and I think most Americans would agree on it. My fear would be the propaganda and twisting against those ideas from those currently in power. Well, that's the thing, is you can't like you can twist those ideas into a lot of pretzels, but I believe if they're presented the right way from the start, and if people are passionate about defending them and confident about them, I think that it doesn't matter how much the media tries to turn it into something it's not. I think we can overcome it. So it's like universal health care. Obviously, people have been arguing against that for years, but arguments against it aren't why we don't have universal health care. We don't have universal health care because politicians in Congress are fucking purchased and owned by big pharma and the health like the health industrial complex, basically. That's why we don't have universal health care. It's got nothing to do with the will of the people. The will of the people has been in favor for universal health care for 20 years. It's big business that is the reason we don't have universal health care, and that's whether or not you think the arguments against it are valid or not. Everyone can agree that the only reason we don't have universal health care is because the politicians in power are fucking paid by the healthcare industry to not want it legalized, which in my opinion should be a huge reason why we should fucking nationalize the healthcare industry. To me, the fact that we've got kind of this option right? Most other industries, people won't even let you talk about nationalizing them. But healthcare, to me, it's like we should nationalize the fuck out of that. Because if for no other reason than because that will be one less fucking industry that can lobby the government. That will be one less fucking enterprise that is completely based around the profit motive, that is ostensibly a public service. You know, like taking healthcare out of the hands of capital, to me, is the biggest reason why we should do it. Putting healthcare in the hands of physicians, in the hands of patients, I think would go tremendous steps towards increasing America's life expectancy again, getting it up on par with other Western nations and shit. I think it would go a tremendous length towards reducing infant mortalities and um, just increasing the healthiness of the population in general. And the arguments people make it against it are just insanely weak at this point. People will say, oh, there's huge wait times. It's like, oh, because there's none of those in America, right? There's plenty of wait times in America. If your insurance decides to fight you on covering a certain thing that you desperately need, then you can be waiting for months, years, or the rest of your fucking natural life for treatment on that issue. It's like people say, oh, well, you end up paying so much in taxes. It's like, we are already paying absurd amounts in fucking healthcare expenses. Either you are or your fucking employer is. It's like, don't you think you could fucking argue for a better wage from them if it was all just getting taken out of the tax base? And people say, well, we just don't have the money for that kind of thing. We can't afford to spend it there. It's like, okay, why can we afford to spend billions and billions of dollars on the military budget when we're not even, like, do you think, are we fighting any wars right now? And most people would be forced to say, well, no. I mean, we're helping Ukraine and Israel. It's like, okay, do we need billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars to throw to those conflicts? Because because the military's had a huge, massive, overinflated budget for decades, and it hasn't seemed to matter a whole lot what conflicts we're in. And most people don't have a response for that. It's like, so like cut out, so okay, like stop funneling money into all these weird fucking rebel groups in foreign countries. Stop funneling money away from actual fucking like useful things for the people. Start spending it there. We have the tax base. We just have to appropriate it the right way. I could see those in power. I could see those in power using agent provocateurs to distort the message of these ideas to just social issues, like how they likely did the Occupy Wall Street or BLM marches. Yep, politicians and media are paid for by a handful of corporations to prevent any substantive change. Yep. I'm kind of scared of the steps Trump plans to take to denationalize the mail industry by privatizing USPS. Talk about walking backwards. Yeah, I mean, I really hope he's not successful in privatizing USPS, but, you know, I don't know, dude. It's just like, to me, I can't even be mad at Trump for it, because you know what? He's a fucking Republican. This is what every Republican fucking, it's their wet dream. Turn USPS into a fucking chess pawn. Turn it into one of their little pawns, one of their little bishops on their fucking chessboard. Of course that's what a Republican wants, of course. Who I'm mad at is the fucking Democrats, who have had time after time after time after time to enshrine the existence of the post office into the Constitution, or to push this country in a direction with meaningful action in the government, to push this country in a direction that didn't have it going so far right. I genuinely think if Obamacare had passed actual universal health care, I don't I don't know if we would have seen 4 years of a Republican yet, honestly. And so, yeah, I'm scared. I guess I'm not really scared of it because, like whatever, shipping is already expensive, and it's just going to be made more expensive. Well, I mean, it probably was already going to. Like, it's just like, I try not to let fear rule my life. I do think it sucks, but to me, it just represents everything I've been saying about Democrats continually allowing the Republicans to slip further and further and further to the right, never providing any meaningful counterbalance to them. And then they come up with some weird policy shit like this that it's just going to get slipped through. And then, and it's like they could do shit to prevent this country from going farther right. Yeah, the Democratic Party is such a major obstacle to substantive change. Whenever people decide to organize, it needs to not be for them. I 100% agree with that. I think people need to get over the idea that the Democratic Party is the vehicle for their positive change, the vehicle for their goals. Because I think the DNC is set up to be anathema to that. Sometimes I feel like the DNC is, I don't know. 1 second. Sometimes I think the DNC is where progressive political action goes to die. Because if you look at what they do politically, the Democrats don't do any leftist shit. They get leftist votes every fucking 4 years, but they don't do any leftist shit. All they do is posture and fucking promote Republican politics. As far as like what their votes are, they're always voting with the fucking Republicans. It is far more fucking likely for a Democrat to vote with a Republican than for a Republican to vote with a Democrat. Dems have a communist agenda, man. I wish. I fucking wish, you redneck. You don't know shit about communism, boy. Man, I ain't even sure that I'm a big fan of communism, but the Democrats damn sure ain't it. Democrats about as capitalist as you can get in this country and not believe in slavery. Oh wait, the Democrats do believe in slavery. Kamala Harris herself said we needed to preserve a large prison population, and she was opposed to the legalization of cannabis in California because she needs those prisoners to make up an important labor base. Turns out the Democrats do still believe in slavery. So do the Republicans. Don't get me wrong. You ain't gonna like if we ever get it, bro. We just had 4 years of fucking a Democrat, and nothing like communism happened, bro. What do you think communism is, Sean? Can you define communism for me without without pressing the home button, just tell me your idea of communism. I don't want to hear Merriam-Webster's idea of communism. I want to hear Sean Skinner's idea of communism. They was trying what? They was trying to get 4 more years of a fucking boring bullshitter like Joe Biden. They're trying to get 4 more years of fucking status quo bullshit. 4 more years of fucking arming every fucking armed conflict we can find on this fucking planet. 4 more years of what? They was trying. Fucking failed. But if you think Trump is going to be any fucking better on any of the fronts that America's been suffering under for the last 4 years, I got news for you. That's not what his policy prescriptions point towards. So, once again, what is your definition of communism? In before the woke agenda. Come on. Where they control all the food and water and tell you what to do, and if you don't fall in line, they cut you off. That's actually fascism, my friend. What you just identified is what's called fascism, and it's actually a tendency of the right wing, not of the left wing. To be truthful, it's a pattern amongst authoritarian governments. It really has less to do with the political leanings of the people in power and more to do with the tendencies of having too much power. And it happens to people on both sides. So they control all the food and water and tell you what to do, and if you don't fall in line, they cut you off. That was the Nazis. Do you think the Nazis were left-wing? They weren't. They were very, very, very far right-wing. It's part of communism? No, see, you don't understand what communism is. That's what's beautiful about the definition you just presented. That's not the definition of communism. Communism is an economic and political system that I guess you could say was codified by Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels over the course of 20 or 30 years in a number of different books. Probably the most, I would say the most widely distributed piece of literature regarding communism is the Communist Manifesto, which kind of lays out the history of communism, which a lot of people think Karl Marx just invented communism. No, communism that was a philosophy that had been basically developing since really just 100 short years after the real development of global trade. So it was very, very quickly after the world went from being a feudal one to a capitalist one. Communism as a united philosophy started developing. And at first it was not a united philosophy. At first it was a number of different philosophies under a bunch of different names held by a bunch of different people. Eventually, at the First International, they came together, decided what communism was, what it represents, and the Communist Manifesto starts with the lines, "There is a specter haunting Europe. It is the specter of communism." Because even back then, people were railing against the communists. Even before the dude who is now most well known for communism had ever put pen to paper to write about it, people were throwing around the label of communist towards people who wanted to organize the working class. As far as what communism advocates for, communism advocates for a pretty vague goal, which is one of the reasons why I'm not the biggest fan of communism. Communism is more of a set of descriptions more than a set of prescriptions, but the prescriptions that come along with it, right, are that if the working, okay, central idea behind it, human history is always composed of struggles between two groups, right? The powerful and the oppressed, right? And the people who make up a system and keep it going, and the people who live under that system, right? And we are approaching what may be the final showdown of that, where the people on the bottom will take power but place no one below them, right? Communism advocates that working class people, meaning people who draw a wage from labor that they do within a place of production, should unite together and take control of the means of production, meaning farms, factories, stores, etc. That this is indeed inevitable, and that the changes that such a society would set up would ultimately lead to a far fairer and more egalitarian society than that which we currently live. You'll notice that my definition took way longer to say and was way more convoluted because communism is a complex idea. It cannot be summed up in one sentence, which is why this was such a useful exercise. It takes time. They're trying to crash out economy on purpose. Who is they? They want complete power, complete control. Yeah, they, right? The mysterious, vague they. People really got to look back to the Gilded Age of this country when everything was more capitalistic. Before subsidized food and expansion of base social services, America was a meat grinder. Oh, yeah, dude. I mean, America's becoming a meat grinder again. But yeah, like, before the advent of so many of the basic social safety nets we have today and kind of still take for granted today, America was a fucking meat grinder. You're right. It was a place where life was short and blood was plentiful, and it was just a hard place. Just because you think you know don't mean do. Communists like North Korea. Bro, Sean, what the fuck makes you think you're smarter than me, bro? Like, I'm not trying to be mean here, but you haven't typed a comment that makes fucking grammatical sense not once in this chat. The education system of our country has failed you, and yet you're going to sit in here and pretend in chat like you know shit that I don't? There's not a thing I can learn from you. There's a ton you could learn from me, but you're too close-minded to learn it. No, I don't know. You could teach me a thing or two, but you'd have to get off this weird fucking, I fucking am terrified of anything that looks like a communist kick, you know? Like, your fucking gut fear reaction to anything that looks communist is something that was instilled in you to control you, my friend. You know what the irony is of people like Sean? People in here like Sean will spend their whole lives talking about how Democrats want to control them, how they're communist, and how communists just want to control everything, control their thoughts, control. When all of those talking points are invented by right-wing commentators and right-wing politicians and right-wing political theorists to control them. Literally, go look it up. I'm not kidding. Go look up Leo Strauss. Go look up Leo Strauss and learn how everything you believe was instilled in you to control your dumb ass. Go look it up. Go look it up, faggot, if you don't believe me. Leo space Strauss. Go read it and go learn how your entire fucking political philosophy was invented for you. I know what my Bible said would come. The followers of Jesus thought Jesus Christ would return in their lifetime, idiot. You see it coming? Yeah, you and every other generation of Christians for the last 2,000 years. You think you're fucking new in this shit? Bro, the people who followed Jesus Christ thought he was coming back in their lifetimes. Their fucking sons thought the same thing. Their kids thought the same thing. And Christians have been thinking Jesus' return is right around the corner for 2,000 fucking years now. What makes you think your generation of Christians is the one who's finally going to get it right? I really hate the fucking, like, smarmy, condescending attitude with which you come in here and spew bullshit that fucking you clearly know nothing about, and then when corrected, you want to say, oh, you think you know, but you don't? Okay, well then fucking come with a fucking argument or shut the fuck up, bitch. I'd be much more amenable to communism bad if the capitalist world didn't embargo and limit trade with state socialist nations to hinder their growth. I really believe the hate for socialist nations coming from the fact that their markets are harder to rig in favor of rich Western industry owners. That's all it is. That's the only reason why fucking socialism and communism has been opposed, and that is the reason why they've been opposed for generations from so many different angles by all these fucking capitalist countries. Is because a socialist country sets up its fucking marketplaces and its fucking labor laws and its fucking building codes and shit and its zoning laws and all this other shit. It sets up its tax laws and shit so that it can't be exploited like that. And so, yeah, that's why we do it. And the only reason that semi-socialist nations are able to exist in Western Europe is because those are places that were, either on our side or made to come to heel after World War II, and it was considered uncouth to send any fucking troops in there to take them over. And we tried our best to limit their fucking turn to leftism, but we just didn't succeed. You're welcome to join us in class solidarity when you are in need, Sean. When you are sick and rejected by your insurance company, we'll be there for you. When your boss fires you for an unjust reason, we'll be there for you. Exactly. That's the fucking thing, Sean, is that I may hate the arguments that you're making. I may hate the sort of ideology that you represent, but the fact of it is that we probably have more in common than we have apart. We probably work a pretty thankless job, both of us. We probably both don't make a whole lot. And when it comes right down to it, if we worked at the same factory and a strike happened, I would be right out there on the line, whether your ass was trying to strike with us or whether your ass was trying to scab the factory. But that's the left, like the left. As far as I'm concerned, the left is the place where we may not like what you have to say, but we'll defend your right to say it. We may not like who you are, but we'll defend your right to exist as that. We may not like what you do, but we'll defend your right to do it as long as it doesn't hurt nobody. That's the left. Pretty friendly folk over here. Permitting free trade between communist countries, extension of long-term loans to Russia and China, providing aid regardless of communist affiliation is number 4. Number 5, number 6 is the naked communist. I don't know what the naked communist is, but it sounds like a sounds like a book I would like. That's the thing, is like, dude, I'm not completely isolationist, but why has America decided? Okay, here's the thing. If capitalism is so great, then why do we have to fucking keep sending in troops to defend it? If capitalism is so fucking great, then why do we feel the need to enforce that system on people? If capitalism is so great, wouldn't people just come to that naturally? Wouldn't they see it done in other countries and want that for themselves? And if they don't want that, why are you so desperate to put it on them, if not to exploit them? Those who thought Jesus was already coming didn't know their Bible or God. They were the people who traveled with Jesus. They were the fucking disciples. The disciples of Christ thought he was going to return in their lifetime. Okay? The first generation of Christians that was taught through the oral tradition of Jesus's fucking disciples, that first generation of Christians also thought Jesus was coming back in their lifetime. So did the generation after them, and so did the generation after them. So did the generation after that. So did the generation after that. I bet your parents think that Jesus is about to come back. And I bet if you asked them, they would tell you that their parents thought that Jesus was going to come back. And I bet if you were able to ask your grandparents, they'd tell you their parents thought Jesus was going to come back. They might not think about it until you ask. But yeah, the fact of it is that Christians always think. Not all of them, but a lot of American Christians, because so many American Christians are super fucking puritanical, because so many of them have narratives in their head which require all these weird sort of connections to other narratives. A lot of them look around at the world and say, oh man, I think the rapture's coming soon, man. All the signs, all the signs. And people have been doing that shit for time immemorial, changing up the politicians every 10 years to make it still relevant. Literally, you can go find fucking news articles from the fucking 70s. Jerry Falwell talking about how the end is nigh. Dude, Christians have been fucking throwing around the end is nigh shit for thousands of years, literally. They cried wolf, now no one believes. Yeah, because they've been crying wolf for the last 2,000 years, and here you are still doing it. Why would we? The Naked Communist is an anti-communist propaganda book. That sucks. Well, then let me just kind of like talk about these points then. Okay, so permitting free trade between communist countries. Permitting the way that is phrased makes it sound like it's our fucking duty to police what transactions happen on this planet. Who elected America king of the world? I thought you guys were against globalism. I thought anti-communists were against the globalist elite. I thought anti-communists were against that sort of thing. Suddenly you want big planet America? Suddenly if two countries want to trade between each other, they've got to have our permission? You're saying that you're saying that being a communist means wanting to allow free trade between those countries. I think that should not be in a prick. That's like saying that you have the right to step in between two people that are about to make a free fucking trade. Dude, nothing could be less free trade and less capitalist, in my opinion, than preventing two entities from engaging in a transaction. And yet, here they are wanting to do it because what they are in support of is not actually even free market capitalism. It's like crony corporate capitalism, which is even worse, right? But I don't think there's any impetus on America to regulate trade between nations, period. I don't think it's our place. Extension of long-term loans to Russia and China. Do we have long-term loans with Russia and China? Extension of them makes it sound like we would be extending them. If that means like let them borrow money from us, so to speak, then I'm fine with that too. Like, why not? Might be a great way to offset some of this national debt, even. Maybe. Yeah, I'm just saying. Like, why do we care that they're communists? Them being communist doesn't necessarily have to make us communist, unless what they're worried about is that capitalism isn't actually the better system, that communism is that, and that all you have to do to see that is to live through it and to see it being practiced widely. If communism was such a horrible, bad system, then America wouldn't constantly and consistently and always be spending money to fight what they see as communist nations in other countries. They wouldn't feel the need to defeat it if they thought it was actually self-defeating. Providing aid regardless of communist affiliation. Do you mean like fucking when we provided aid to the Soviets in World War II? Is that what you mean? Was that us being a communist nation? The Naked Communist was written by W. Cleon Skousen, who's a part of the John Birch Society, a far-right think tank. Right on. Yeah, I'm familiar with the John Birch Society. It's like the Federalist Society, the fucking Heritage Foundation. Right on. But past generations didn't have all the prophecy fulfilled like we do now. Dude, past generations could find shit in their lives to fulfill all the same prophecies you think you found now. Dude, I'm just telling you, listen, don't shoot the messenger, bro. I ain't telling you nothing you can't fucking go look up. I ain't telling you nothing that ain't fucking provably, verifiably true. Just go fucking read accounts of ancient Christians. Go look up, just search these exact words: Jesus return myth over the ages. And you will see hundreds of stories from history of people thinking and manipulating the facts or twisting up the impressions of current events or whatever. You will see people doing it because, as it turns out, you'll see people doing it for hundreds of years because, as it turns out, the prescriptions and guesses made by the Bible are pretty easy fucking guesses to make. All the predictions, quote unquote, that the Bible has are the easiest predictions in the world. It's like a great leader will fall, the people will corrupt. It's like the most vague of shit that anyone in any time period can apply to themselves. And have you never wondered why that is? Have you never wondered why Revelation is so fucking vague? Because I tell you, I did. They didn't have the one world government being set up and one world religion. Christians in the 1700s believed that Britain's expansion into into what would become the United States, Christians in Great Britain and even some here in the colonies believed that Britain's expansion into the colonies and its expansion, its takeover over the Indian Empire and all this shit, they believed that that was representative of a one world government. And they believed that King George's attempt, or King Charles, I forget who it was, but they literally looked at the evidence they had and came to the same fucking conclusion you're coming to. Whatever you're looking at and saying, that's the one world government. Well, that was their one world government 300 years ago. Was the British East India Company and the Dutch East India Company. That was the one world government that Christians 300 years ago were afraid of. What plans you have for Christmas? Hope you have a good holiday. I do too. Mostly just spending time with family. Pretty good way to spend Christmas. They was wrong, but if you can't see that's being set up, you're blind beyond reason. No, I actually have my eyes open. You are the one that is blinded, and you are going to spend the next 10 years of your life waiting for something that will never come, waiting for a day that will never arrive, waiting for a sunrise that will never dawn. Have fun. There is no God to neatly and sweetly end the world the way you want it to end. God is a fairy tale made up by the managers of societies to prevent the uprising of the people and to condition them to accepting a common set of morals. If you don't believe me, look up Leo Strauss, look up Plato's Noble Lie. I think the next god will be the AI machine messiah. Dude, that'll be cool. AIM, bro. The AI messiah. Yeah. I kind of like that idea. I like the idea of a benevolent AI that manages our lives from behind the scenes. One that we really never even get to know about, right? Or maybe that we never get to know. Maybe that's a bad way to put it. But one whose influence, like direct influence on our lives, is not something that we pick up on day to day. You know, like certain outgrowths of it you'd see, like if like automatic cars, right? If they're all running off the same basic AI, like the same. I say basic. When I say basic, I just mean the standard, right? If there was a country running cloud-based AI, then that would be one of the only ways in which we saw its direct influence on our lives, would be the way it gets us from place to place and the interactions that it has with us through that format. And I imagine you would have a way to access it very easily from any computer or any smartphone, right? And that would be the most obvious way that it influences us, right? By giving us answers to questions that guide us in a certain direction. But it could also have control over our water supply, right? So it's like the AI senses that people in this community are getting depressed because it's been too rainy for the last month. So, we pump a little fucking THC into their water supply or something, and it gets everybody a little stoned, and they're all a little bit happier now or something. It's an idea to think about for sure. What the hell, bro? I don't know. What the hell indeed. I think China/Southeast Asia is going to get the super AI governance first, then Europe, then the US. But in the background, the US government is totally using AI already. Oh, they've already fucking admitted it. Well, I don't know if they admitted it, but it's been leaked at the very least. They have an AI called Sentient that, like, who knows how exactly they're using it, but I assume to make battlefield decisions. Bro, I don't want to hear about your fucking conversion story, bro. Every single Christian in the fucking world has a conversion story that is either like yours or one of a couple of other fucking very predictable formats, bro. Literally everyone. I was a fucking horrible sinner, and then one day I saw the light. Or, oh, I was always kind of a Christian and I always believed in God, but one day I I really just needed him, and I just fell flat upon my face, and I was like, Jesus, save me from this, and I'll worship you forever. And he brought himself into my life. And if it's not that, it's I was in a really hard time at my life, and I was in a lot of grief, and I was feeling really bad. Somebody invited me to their church, and God makes me feel so happy, and it's just, dude, I'm sick of it. I get it. It's fine. You want to believe in a fucking delusion that doesn't help you one iota in your life? Fine. You want to believe in a delusion that sets you back and sets you apart from the rest of your peer group? Fine. I genuinely do not give a shit. I certainly don't want to hear it in my chat, though. I don't give a shit about how you came to your fucking weird Christian viewpoint, bro. I just don't. There's a good argument to be made for antidepressants being added to our water supply. Our modern lives aren't really made out for fulfillment. Yeah, I mean, I would argue that the better thing to do in that situation would be to just improve society to where we don't need it. And I think that I would hope that before or in tandem with getting to the AI government, we would also get that. I would hope that we would have a society that means that really the AI has only got to disperse antidepressants into the water supply when it's like super rainy over an area for longer than usual, or something like that, like an extenuating circumstance, so to speak. I wish they would remove "In God We Trust" from a currency. That's okay. Our AI overlord will be named God. Oh, that would be cool. Ooh, get all the Christians in America pissed and name it Allah. Okay, well, bro, get that ass banned, because I done told a fuck about this Christian shit, bro. I am not trying to hear it. I live in an area where that's all I get to hear. I live in an area where their fucking conversion story is usually the most interesting thing that's ever happened to a motherfucker around here. And I live in an area full of some of the most hypocritical motherfucking Christians that I think you could ever hope to meet. I live around people who will tell you these fucking crazy conversion stories about how they got sober and they fucking turned their lives around and they were in such a bad place and Jesus saved them. And then you fucking find out that they're still fucking addicted to all the shit they claim they got sober from. And you figure out that they're getting up to the fucking wackiest, wildest shit behind closed doors and behind the scenes. They're just hiding it from everybody. I don't have time for it anymore, bro. I prefer people that can engage honestly with their sex lives, with their moral lives, with their philosophical lives. I cannot stand people who live a lie. And that puts me at odds with Christians. That puts me at odds with most Christians, because I don't think most Christians actually believe this shit. I think most Christians are clinging onto it because they're fucking scared. We Happy Few had a good game concept, but man, that game was boring after a minute of it. I forget what We Happy Few was. Yeah, modern Christianity isn't looking good. I'm feeling another Reformation in the works. I think we're seeing one underway. If you look at some of like I think it's Jesus Christ. I think if you look at some of the Church of America, oh boy. So wait a minute. When you say another Reformation, what do you see coming? Because I was thinking like, I think it's going to be splitting into another two camps again. I think there's going to be like, I think one of them is going to be called the traditionalists, and one of them is going to be called the revisionists. Yeah, revisionalists. I think it would be just revisionists. But I think the ones who, because I think the split that I see coming up in the church, the Reformation, so to speak, that I see coming, is people who agree with more progressive ideas about what Christianity can mean, what its implications might be, and what its policy prescriptions are, and people who read a much more conservative fire and brimstone type of vision out of the Bible, right? I think that's how it's going to split up. And so I think the Church of America might be, one of the things that come out of that, right? They might be the traditionalists. And then you might get the, like the International Workers Church, which will be like the fucking new lefty progressive church, maybe. I'm still interested in the theory that Jesus was the first person to have an ego death on a crazy shroom trip, and that's why he thought he was divine. I don't think he was the first person, though, because if you look at it, Jesus' story is not the first time we see that in history, Like, we've got earlier stories of people having crazy shit like that happen where, they think they're a fucking god after taking this crazy fucking plant. So I think it's a possibility. A show. That's an interesting idea. Yeah, left church versus the right church idea. It definitely kind of is the case now with the different churches in America right now. That's kind of how I see it going. It's like these, because I feel like, well, I don't know. I really don't know, because the evangelical vote did not show up for Trump this year, weirdly enough. Trump was heavily voted in by evangelicals the first time. But they didn't show up for him at all, basically, this last time. They didn't show up for him in nearly as high numbers. Instead, it was a lot of people who were probably claiming with their mouths that they were going to vote for Kamala Harris. And they ended up going for Trump, right? It was way more just normal Americans, right, than it was like crazy religious nuts. And that to me might mean that we're starting to see maybe a depoliticization of religious service. But I don't think I can't see how that is sustained, because the Republicans and the high level religious leaders that are right wing, they have such a fucking careful grift going on, and they are so deeply embedded with each other at this point. Their interests so coincide that I don't fucking know, man. I don't know how the fuck the Republican Party could extricate itself from the church, or how the church could extricate itself from the Republican Party. Well, don't forget, Trump mostly won because people that voted for Biden didn't vote at all. He did gain 4 million votes, though. I mean, that's a lot of votes to gain, though. But yeah, I mean, a lot of people that voted for Biden didn't vote. I was one of them, you know? And so, yeah, I mean, you could say, like, okay, so he gained 4 million votes. Let's just look at that, right? Now, we could see how many people became voting age between, between now and 2016, which is, like, I'm guessing the time, or is it 2020 or 2016 that they're comparing it to? I don't pretend to know, but even if it would be 4 million people turned of age within that time, which wouldn't surprise me, I doubt that all of them went for Trump. So what that means to me is that 4 million people, which I know that we've got pretty low for like voter turnout in this country. So I know 4 million is still like a very low number of people compared to the entire number of voters, but it's like, that's 4 million people that didn't vote for him last time. That tells me that he picked up some disaffected liberals. That tells me that he picked up some, some people that were right in the center. 2020, okay, cool. That would make more sense. What's the name of the church that's super LGBT friendly-ish? United. I believe it's the United Methodist Church. I believe it's the UMC. Yeah, that's a church. A lot of liberals in that church, yeah. I think it's one of the better Christian churches in America, for sure. It's probably the sect of Christianity that will prevail for a while longer in America, but I don't know. I'm not religious. So thankfully, my parents didn't take me to church. My parents didn't take me, but my grandma did take me, and my dad insisted that I get the chance to go to church during my early years, which I guess I'm thankful for. I tend to follow the wisdom that if you feel good about your life, if you feel like you've lived an interesting life, then don't bother engaging in the exercise of like, man, I regret that. Especially if it's shit that happened when you were a kid. Just look at it as like, I'm glad that happened. I wouldn't take it back for a second. even though there was some profound trauma that came with being indoctrinated into certain ideas that come with being a part of a Christian church in the United States, you know? Wait, now you're back, now you're back to Blacklark. Holy shit. But I believe you're probably right. I think that more liberal sect of Christianity will, that more liberal tendency in certain Christian sects will continue longer than the super oppressive type of church will. But that's only assuming that this country starts to turn sharply left, which, you know, honestly, if Trump only won 4 million votes, that's probably 4 million people we can win back. And if Biden lost mainly because people just didn't show up for him, those people didn't show up for him. The reason they didn't show up for him wasn't because they just forgot about voting. It wasn't because they just grew weary of the process, most of them. It's because they didn't want Joe Biden, and they didn't want Kamala Harris, and they didn't want... I keep acting like it was a fucking election between Biden and Trump. It goes to show you where my fucking head's at. They didn't want Harris. They looked at her as a fucking surrogate for Biden policy, and they looked at Biden as a surrogate for fucking like Biden campaign financier policy. And nobody wanted that. Nobody wanted 4 more fucking years of catering to the billionaire class and the military industrial complex. And those people got so fucking fed up with the Democratic Party's bullshit that they were like, fuck it. I can't vote for a president this year because I can't bring myself to sign my name under either of those fucking people. So fuck it. I'm staying home. But those people would come in mass numbers for a candidate that spoke truth to power, that when the Democrats scuttle them, decide to run as an independent, right? A candidate like that, let me just put it this way. If let's say Bernie had decided when the Democrats decided to fuck him over, if he had decided this is unfair, if he just went like, this is unfair, this is not how democracy is supposed to work, and after a lot of deliberation, I have decided that, in my view, the best course of action for me to take right now would be to distance myself from the Democratic Party and to resume my campaign as an independent presidential candidate for 2016. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I ask you today that if you're a Democratic voter and you are considering voting for me, then I urge you today, make sure that you check your registration laws, that you can vote for an independent this voting season. Make sure that you can vote for an independent and that you can do that with your current registration. I think if he'd done that and continued his campaign to the bitter end, I think he would have won. Not only do I think he would have won, I think he would be serving his second term right now. Real talk. All we need is another candidate with those policies, those arguments. People would get just as impassioned. I'm telling you, I would flip head over heels for a candidate that talked about that shit, that I could stand to listen to, that was personable, and that I looked in the eyes of and believed, and who I could look in the record of and see good shit. You can look through Sanders' record and see him doing good shit. Hell, I would take an Elizabeth Warren. I think me and you, Black Lark, talked about that the other day. I think it was me and you. I would take an Elizabeth Warren. You know, she's from the same region of the world. You know, she's from the same part of the country. You know, Bernie's Vermont, she's Massachusetts. But I think maybe this country needs, like, what would be a better fucking counteraction to Donald Trump's weird, wacky, zany blend of fucking, you know, Reaganite patriotism and like disgusting chicanery. Like, what would be a better fucking counter to that man and his idiocy than an incredibly intelligent, well-spoken, calm, you know, politician from Massachusetts who did most of her career as a teacher. And I think she was a teacher and a lawyer, if I'm not mistaken. You know, I think Elizabeth Warren nowadays maybe is not the best candidate. Like, I think, like, you know, there's a lot of things I don't like about Elizabeth Warren, honestly. But somebody like that would be a perfect counter, right? And I think that if you got somebody with policies like Bernie was running, right, and they actually believed them, somebody that's been fighting for those policies, like honestly, you know, if his heart had been in it, I think Tim Walz could have like, he maybe could have given it a run for it, you know? I don't know that he would have had enough money to get that like base of support, but honestly, a lot of this shit I think you need to start it early. Like, I think a lot of the reason people knew about Bernie was because he started campaigning super early in the campaign season. Let me see here. Found a way to change my name back. Oh, cool. Okay, cool. That's cool. Love and acceptance does need to be a guiding stone for the left. I mean, I still believe the left should defend itself against violence and be prepared for that, but love and cool heads will do the left good. I'm so afraid of an Obama 2.0. He promised a lot of that too. See, I'm afraid of that too. Don't get me wrong, right? But mind you, what I'm talking about is just purely like, I'm not talking about this from the standpoint of somebody who thinks this is how we get the change that we need to happen in this country. I think that the best the presidency I think the best that a presidency usually does anymore is just, you know, shelter activists as they go about their work. But I do think the presidency is capable of doing something more, which is why I would want to see an older, established politician that's not either. I would want to see a young politician that maybe hasn't been in politics very long at all, that had like a regular career before that or something. Or somebody who's been doing it for a very long time and isn't old enough to be decrepit yet, but is old enough to where if the presidency was the last gig they ended up getting and no corporation would touch them with a 10-foot pole because they're like a socialist or whatever, I think that either one of those would be a good candidate to look out for, because I think those would be the types of people that would actually do some meaningful leftism and feel like they don't have a lot to lose, right? Somebody who's worked a regular job for a lot of their lives and then got into politics, right? They, like, I feel like that a person like that would be more inclined to feel like they can kind of do what they want to do because, well, fuck it, they don't need to be popular by the corporations and shit. Because they can more than live off of the presidential pension, you know? Dems moved away from populist rhetoric, so Republicans took it and ran with it, and here we are today. 100%. That must be a train being driven by an engineer that's familiar with this area. That's cool. You can tell because they'll and I don't know. I don't even know how much I want to talk about this because I don't want to get any of these guys in trouble. Not that it would, but you know, there's some dudes that run the trains around here that I can tell must realize that there's people that live in the house like right next to the tracks here, because most of the time, you know, any time of night or day, it's 4 honks, right? And they don't finish honking until they cross the threshold. But that gentleman there just honked, you know, this like 2 longs and then a short once they were already up close to it, and you know they could see nobody up and coming anyway, and it's like easier on our ears, right? No, it wasn't me, but yeah, I would have taken Warren almost over any Democrat politicians too, but I don't think she would win. I don't think she's strong enough. Yeah, I don't think so either, but I don't know. Well, no, yeah, you're right. I don't think she's strong enough. Who would win? No, you know what? I don't want to engage. Well, yeah, I do. I do, because to me it's fun. It's a fucking fun game to engage in. Like you know, what's it gonna be? But honestly, the fact of it is, we have no fucking idea who's gonna be put up for potential candidacy in 2028. We don't even know that there'll be a 2028, dude. There could be a fucking like, who knows what happens between now and 2028, bro. We should have reelected Jimmy Carter, bro. Oh my god. Is he still alive? Is he doing all right? Because if he is, then he's still sharp. Fuck it. We elect octogenarians all the time. Let's elect a fucking 90-year-old. I'm cool with that. That's fine. Old Jimmy's fine by me. Old Jimmy is the kind of politician I'm talking about in the latter case, though. An elder statesman that has nothing to lose. That would they'd show him the Kennedy tape, and he'd be like, "Oh yes, sir, I'm mighty afraid." But then he'd go to the Oval Office and immediately start signing executive orders, fucking like descheduling weed and fucking making the country a better place. Yeah, I'm not even guessing on 2028. Like, we haven't even discussed the midterms yet. Oh, yeah, dude. We haven't even gotten there. Yeah. Start throwing your fucking hat in for the midterms. I do need to register to vote, though, so I can vote in next year's elections. He's basically a corpse. Aw, poor Jimmy. Poor Jimmy. I guess he ain't building houses no more, huh? I wonder if he built his own coffin. I'm just waiting for January to come to see how bad Trump fucks us in the first month. It'll be interesting to see Trump's dictator on day one promise, lol. This is going to sound really bad, but we really got to discuss the Senate. We do? All right, let's discuss it. What's good about the Senate? What's bad about the Senate? This is gonna. Oh, I already read that. Dude, it will be interesting to see that dictator on day one shit, but who knows what that meant? You know, like that could just be Trump trying to get a good soundbite for his people, and that could also mean, you know, he could mean it, but mean it in a way more innocuous way. He could mean it, but mean like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do some pretty, you know, like he very well could, I guess, mean I'm going to work within the limits of the Constitution, but I'm going to be as authoritarian as I can within those limits, which I still think would be awful, but I don't know. I just can't bear the thought that he's actually going to like start to do some dictator shit on day one. Because that's the thing, is you're only dictator on day one. After that, you're dear leader or whatever. The Senate is maybe more bought than the presidency. Oh, 100%. Well, there's more items for sale. There's more items for sale, so of course it's more bought. 100%. I want to say what needs to be done with the Senate, but it can't be discussed in YouTube chat. No, it can't be. Yes, it can be. All we need to do to the Senate is give them all a nice big cup of tea. Socratic tea. Now I want to play some protest music. Actually, you know what I want to play? It's fitting. I cried when they shot Medgar Evans. Tears ran down my spine. And I cried when they shot Mr. Kennedy, though I'd lost a father of mine. But Malcolm X, he had it coming. He got what he asked for this time. So love me, love me, love me. I'm a liberal. I cheered when Humphrey was chosen, my faith in the system restored, and I'm glad that they voted the commies off the AFL-CIO board, and I love Puerto Ricans and Negroes, as long as they don't live next door. So love me, love me, love me, I'm a liberal. I read New Republic and Nation, I learned to take every view. I read Henry and Harry and Golden, I feel like I'm almost a Jew. When it comes to times like Korea, well, there's no one more red, white, and blue. So love me, love me, love me, I'm a liberal. Yes, once I was young and impulsive. I wore every conceivable pin. Even went to the socialist meetings. Learned all the old Union hymns. But I've grown older and wiser. And that's why I'm turning you in. So love me, love me, love me. I'm a liberal. Seriously, you're lame. No, you're lame for being incapable of typing correctly. I'll say this much. I think that they should fear their constituency more than they fear losing those campaign dollars. I think they should too, but in order for them to make them fear that, we're going to have to deprive them of that constituency. So I think I'm going to say this. What leftists did this year was right. What leftists did this year should be applauded. We should thank them because it will show the Democrats maybe that this is not acceptable. The thin rule just ain't it. And we have to oppose the narrative that this is because Kamala was a woman. It had nothing to do with her being a woman. There were women I would have gladly voted for whose campaigns were suppressed utterly by the two parties. Working any new songs lately? Love when you do Love Me, I'm a Liberal. Thank you. I learned Oh Me by the Meat Puppets and Politicians in My Eyes by Death this month. Well, I'm trying to master War by Edwin Starr. That's what that is or could be. I don't think I'm playing it in the right key, but Sorry, I always sigh after I play stuff. There was a song I was working on recently, though. What was it? What was it? God damn it. Fuck, I can't remember what it was. Fuck yeah, dude. See? Now you see it, right? What is good? Absolutely nothing. See, I'm just not as talented as Edwin Starr, so I cannot figure out how to get the rhythm right playing and singing at the same time. Because I can get it right if I'm a cappella, and I can get it right if I'm playing. But it's like if I try to combine those two disciplines on this song, I don't know why. I can do every other song I've ever tried to play, but it just trips me up. What? What is it good for? Absolutely nothing. Whoa. Say it again. Yeah. What is it good for? Absolutely. Say it again. And it's like I could get. I feel like I don't know. I literally do not understand what the mental block is that makes that song hard for me to play, but I've been trying to learn it for months. Rhythm plus singing is so hard. It's why I mostly can't sing and play bass. I can only sing it if I just play the root. Dude, I think that's why it's hard for me to play certain songs. Like it's easier for me to play rhythm guitar and sing than it is for me to pick and sing, if that makes sense. Like I'm pretty good at singing in rhythm, but it's like that I feel like that song almost has more like speaking discipline in it too. Like spoken word is kind of a discipline in that song as well. My advice is to hum it first once you have the song super ingrained, but I don't know, you're probably better. Nah, I mean, that's good advice, honestly. Nah. Especially because you're so nice about it. Like, yeah, feel free to give me advice if you've got it. Like, people that are nice about it, dude, I'll always take advice. Y'all want to hear an old song? And, well, I don't know, dude. That song has memories. Whatever. I tell tales tall as cliffs. You got a list. Get those things that hard to miss. Like my crippled cough on the weekends. Gone lost by the lake. Said you got nowhere to be. Those things about last year. Been up all night, up all night. No, I get better here. Those things about last year. Been up all night, up all night. And you came while the friends were gone on. Yeah, down to poison on your lips. So when we wake up and our makeup, we went out nowhere to be. But I can't talk to you the way I want to. I've been telling lies, but I'll tell you the truth. No, I can't talk to you the way I want to. I've been telling lies, but I'll tell you the truth. Baby, I'm tired. I should be leaving. You know I'm tired. I should be leaving. Now hang like the rest. We leave the news on the attorney's desk. Take to the streets, chant like an army, conductor of this disease. Ooh. Man, my voice is royally fucked up. Down for any songs. Oh, I love you guys. Thank you. Thank you. Know any diminished chords? I probably do. I just don't know them by that name because I'm one of those weird guitarists who knows like next to no music theory. First time hearing this one, Matchbox 20. Nope, that's actually a band called Margot and the Nuclear So-and-Sos. That song is called As Tall as Cliffs. Took me a minute. They've got a more popular song that a lot of people have heard. Children run, ripple is burning, and the girls are getting sick. Off and blew up in the bathroom while their boyfriends pick up chicks. Oh, let them lost. Heard you whisper in that night in Fountain Square. Trash-filled streets made me wish we were headed home. There was love inside that basement where that woman used to lie. On a sleeping bag we shared on the floor most every night. Darling, I'm drunk. Everything we said we had as dirt and stone. So pack your bags, we're coming back home. And I taste it, you can taste it. Don't look at me that way, 'cause I'll be there. So that one is called Broad Ripple is Burning. It's their most popular song by far. But not my favorite song by them, actually. Heart Barracuda. What? Heart Barracuda? Huh? Fuck you. Whatever. This is song. Oh, okay. Right on. Anybody in here ever heard of the Shins? Deadlock's commanded. You pour your life down the rightful spiral and show us you earned it. Clerics fall will receive right before your eyes. So long to this wretched form. Them gray eyes on subway. So long before you were born, you were always to be a dagger floating straight to their heart. Listen now, we won't tell anyone. Listen now, we won't tell anyone, but you're gonna tell the world. So life ain't been any fun, but you listen around world as you rise from your blood. Yeah, go get my suitcase, won't ya? You've thoroughly blown their minds, and now I must have passage on the lines to the veins from your heart. You're not invisible now, you just don't exist. Your mother must be so proud. You sublimate yourself, granting us a wish. Primitive mirror on the wall to fortify your grim resolve. With the glitz of a shopping mall, another grain of indignant salt for the sea. Good night to these wretched forms, all them gray eyes of away. So long before you were born, you were always to be a dagger floating straight to the heart. The Shins are cool. I've heard a little bit, but do know you play a lot of songs I'm just hearing for the first time from you. So the Phoebe edition is the only rendition for me. Oh, that's cool. I love that. I've had a couple of people say that, actually, and that's really cool. That's really cool to me. Makes me think I have a very unique and eclectic music taste. And I've always thought of myself as having such, so. Since you're trans, you probably voted for Kamala. No, I didn't vote this year. I couldn't bring myself to vote for Kamala. Like, I genuinely think that she would have been just as bad as Biden's been on the whole Gaza genocide issue. I think she would have kept funding the, like, our involvement in the Ukrainian conflict. I just don't think she was a good recipe for foreign policy or domestic policy. Kamala Harris made a lot of her living off of locking people up for drugs, and I think it's time we end the drug war in America. So it's like, I'm sick of voting for, like, against shit. So I was like, fuck it. I ain't even gonna bother with it this year, bro. Why would I tell you that, bro? I mean, I live in Mississippi. I guess that's, whatever. Honestly, it wouldn't have made a fucking difference if I voted Kamala in Mississippi anyway. I'm in Cal. Well, yeah, I mean, in California, I don't think the vote matters much out there either. Honestly, I feel like California, although Kamala didn't win in Cali by the big margins you would expect a Democrat to win in Cali. So maybe that's changing. Honestly, it does. Well, I feel like a lot of people say that it does. So I won't speak for another state's elections. You know what I mean? Like, I don't. I've got prescriptions for how I feel like I want to vote, and I do have advocacy that involves not voting for Democrats, but as far as what you guys do in your own state, as far as whether you consider it mattering or not, that's up to you guys to determine. Now, I would say that in general, I don't like to vote for Democrats when they're giving me a bad candidate, right? So it's like, they figured out with Obama, right, that a Democratic candidate could have horrible policies in a shit ton of areas, but if they just clicked the right boxes, people would still get behind them, right? But I feel like the loss that Hillary Clinton took and the loss that Kamala Harris took is kind of showing the Democrats, like, you got to give us something. You got to give us something, because the only time the Democrats have won with this new kind of strategy of presenting the most, like, it seems like the Democrats for the last 3 electoral cycles have tried to find the candidate that most evenly rides the line between corporate sponsorship and just complete ownership of the party and acceptability to the people. And I feel like it's lost them 2 out of 3 elections. And so I don't want to keep supporting that fucking cascading failure. It's 54 electoral votes, basically. If Republicans win it, they basically auto-win. Why do you go trans? I guess because I couldn't stand living a lie anymore. Like, I felt like I couldn't advance as a person past the point I'd gotten, because I kept getting this vision in my head of getting so deep into my life and so deep into a set of politics that doesn't even take my entire existence into account, and just having to, like, break down and leave all that shit one day to restart my life as, like, a 40-year-old trans woman. I just kept thinking, like, no, dude, I can't keep living like this. I can't advance as a person without addressing this fundamental discrepancy in the way I feel about myself and the circles that I feel comfortable in, the hobbies that I have, and the things that I'm passionate about, the mindsets that I have, I guess you could say, with the body that I have and the people that are the kind of behavioral expectations that come with that body. you know. Yeah, living a lie. Like whenever a trans person is not out as trans, they're living a fucking lie. That's just the fact of being trans. So before you come out as trans, every relationship you have is predicated on a version of you that isn't real and doesn't reflect the actual you, doesn't reflect the person that you would be, the way that you would act, the way that you would dress, the way you would, discuss things, etc., if you were actually able to express yourself, right? So it's like functionally living a lie. How long have you been playing guitar? Since I don't know. Been a long time though. I don't know. It's been about 10 years. It's, I want to say 2015. Yeah, 2015. I got into guitar. Hell no, it couldn't have been no 2015 either. Hell, I don't know. Late 2014. So it's either been 10 years or almost 10 years. Been a long time. Can you play any songs? Well, I would hope that after 10 years of trying, I would hope that I'd learned at least one by now, yeah. Yeah. Let's see. What's a good one? Trying to think of one that's kind of popular because those are always big crowd pleasers. Hold on, let me tune. Okay. Took me a minute to remember the first line. Headed down south to the land of the pines, throwing my way down to North Carolina. Staring up the road and pray to God I see headlights. Headed down the coast, 17 hours, picking me up a bouquet of dogwood flowers. Hoping for rally, I can see my baby tonight. God, I'm so fucking sick. My voice sounds so bad. I just don't have the lung capacity for that one right now. I'm sorry. Why do you vape? I never tried one, but I can't imagine it tasting good. And it does, actually. It's one of the reasons why. It's a pleasant little sensation on my tongue. But mainly it's because I have a nicotine addiction that I got from stupidly insisting on hitting spliffs when they were getting passed around. So, yeah. Psychic spies were trying to steal your imagination. Little girls from Sweden dream of silver screen rotation. If you have these kind of dreams, it's kind of fornication. It's the edge of the world and all of Western civilization. One may rise in the east, but at least it settles in a final location. It's understood that Hollywood sells Californication. Hey, I'm learning how I come join a thing for making. Remedy skin, is that your chin? Is that what you're making? What's one you cool? Hardcore softcore. Dream of Californication. Dream of Californication. Dream of Californication. Dream of Californication. The vape/smoke questions come up so often. Oh my god, I know. And they're like the most boring fucking questions, too. It's like, why do I smoke? Because I'm addicted to it. There you go. Answered the big mystery. Anyway, I'm going to get off here. I'm really tired. Good night, all.